No, that's fine, thanks.
No,
I'm fine.
live tweeting.
If it was flying, you'd be
That's all I got. Teaching my daughter.
Not sure what you.
She can tell me when she wants some of this and when she needs this. Does that change for a diaper?
No.
No? What is that?
Making out.
Come on. How do you say change?
Change.
Like this? Tell my wife.
Yeah. You know, what's your daughter doing that too early?
Is this more? What's this?
something dirty.
I'm just teaching her gibberish.
Can't say it in front of all these cameras. You're going to get him in trouble.
No.
Yeah.
That's what you get when you try to learn on YouTube.
Yep. Can't trust those fake news, remember?
I like them.
Messages. He'll probably call when we go around, so that'll be the first one we'll look for about the I have not a clue what's happening. Just about the same number of president.
Where are you at?
Just a now that I'm a homeowner, I like I work too hard on my yard. I don't think outside. I used to think Like the last two. Oh yeah. All right, he ran out of bounds. Stop it.
Thought you'd look for Martin.
Yeah, there was a black eye. I wasn't there over there.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome, sir.
Well, thank you all for being with us here today. A lot has happened in the past 24 hours since the last briefing. I'd like to bring you up to speed on what I know and then take a few questions. Let me first start with some generalities and then get down to some more granular details. First, now that the hurricane has come on shore, a primary concern remains dramatic flooding. According to information that I was provided, there's been about 20 inches of rain in the Corpus Christi area, about 16 inches of rain in the Houston area, and our biggest concern is the possibility of between 20 and 30 more inches of rain in areas ranging from Corpus Christi over to Houston. Because of the flooding, one of the top focal points that we are concerned about is ongoing rescue and recovery. We want to do everything we possibly can to keep people out of rising water. Part of that is by constant warnings to the public about being vigilant, about observing rising water around you. As you're traveling, if you are traveling out on the road, always watch for water on the road, remembering that when you come across water, it could be far deeper than what your eye observes, or the swiftness of the current can be far stronger than what you perceive. You all know the well-known phrase, and that is turn around, don't drown. Don't risk your life. Still, the most important thing that all Texans can do who are affected by the storm is to put your life and the protection of your life first and foremost. In addition to that, the state and various agencies remain very active in the search and rescue process, and that will be one of the foremost tasks that we undertake in the coming days. We have focused on working with and supporting evacuees, especially from around the Corpus Christi area, now expanding to some larger areas. I had the opportunity yesterday afternoon to go to San Antonio to visit with evacuees as they were getting off of buses that had come in from the Corpus Christi area. You could sense a sense of relief on their part that they were out of the way of what was an increasingly threatening storm. They were happy to be alive, and they were at peace in that regard. But obviously also concerned about what they had left behind, about the possibility that they had lost or would be losing the place they lived as well as some of their property. But most importantly, they were just happy to be alive. I have issued a disaster declaration that originally included 30 counties, and this is a state disaster declaration. And we have now added 20 more counties for a total of 6 counties. As you probably know, I requested a federal disaster declaration that the president granted last night. This is incredibly important and extremely fast. What the presidential proclamation about our disaster declaration does is it immediately triggers the implementation of FEMA. and FEMA's assistance for individuals as well as cities and counties, for all of us to begin the rebuilding process as quickly as possible. Something else that I did yesterday is I issued a proclamation waiving hotel occupancy taxes for all evacuees and first responders. So any place in the state of Texas where there's an evacuee or a first responder who is affected by this storm, they will be able to have the hotel taxes waived. I just got word from the Fort Bend County Judge, who has issued a voluntary evacuation for the Brazos River area in Fort Bend County, and a mandatory evacuation along the San Bernard. This is one of the foremost regions in the state of Texas that already has flooding, and we anticipate the flooding to grow worse in that area. This morning I had the opportunity to make phone calls to several of the mayors who were affected by the hurricane last night. I spoke with the mayor of Victoria and spoke with the mayor of Port Lavaca. I made phone calls to the mayors of Corpus Christi as well as Rockport, and with the latter two I did not have the ability to connect with them, but left messages for them. For the mayors of Victoria and Port Lavaca, they seem to be in strong spirits. They obviously preside over cities that have suffered some very meaningful damage, but they are working very aggressively to try to help their citizens respond to their challenges. And I offer them, as well as the mayors of Corpus Christi and Rockport, any and all help that the state of Texas can provide. Now, for some more granular detail, as a result of the briefing that I just had, looking at the Texas Military Division, there are more than 1,300 service members who are currently activated, and we anticipate increasing that amount by 500 more, getting us above 1,800 service members who will be activated to assist in responding to the hurricane and its aftermath. As far as the Texas Department of Transportation, they are already undertaking cleanup operations around the Corpus Christi and Yoakum areas, working to clear pathways along roadways there, which is impressive that they were able to get in that quickly and begin that process. With the PUC, they say that there are more than 338,000 outages, and it will still be several days, perhaps, before those outages will be able to be addressed. The reason for that is because the wind speed in the area of where they're going to be able to take care of those outages has to decrease below a certain level before they are able to respond. As far as emergency services are concerned, which includes the Texas military, includes Texas Parks and Wildlife, it includes Texas Task Force 1 and Texas Task Force 2. One of their primary focal points is search and rescue. They've already made several search and rescue operations, primarily hoisting through the helicopter process, and we have about 1,000 personnel in the state of Texas who were assigned to search and rescue. The Texas Parks and Wildlife has about 1,500 evacuees at state parks, and again, any cost that would normally be incurred at a state park has been waived for evacuees. For the Texas Department of Public Safety, they have assigned about 80 troopers to the Corpus Christi area to assist in law enforcement needs in that region. For the Red Cross, they have 21 shelters open already with a population of about 1,450, and they have 42 more shelters on standby to be ready. Importantly, those are Red Cross shelters. There are so many other shelters across the state of Texas, whether they be local churches or other local facilities, and we are very, very appreciative of everyone in the state of Texas who is providing shelter, food, and other supplies. Along those lines, I do want to express my gratitude. At the shelter that I was at yesterday, there was a need for towels and for blanketing and bedding for the people who were there. We made a public plea, and that plea was answered very swiftly. So thank you to the people of San Antonio for responding to the needs of the people from Corpus Christi who have shelter in San Antonio. On transportation, we have 228 buses that are available to continue to move evacuees, and more than 100 bus trips for evacuees have already been undertaken. We have across multiple agencies, we are in the process of getting water, ice, food, and supplies to needed areas. We're in the process of working to set up staging areas where those supplies will soon be able to be delivered to those who need them. With that, why don't I take a few questions?
Sir, can you confirm,
Yes.
Governor, what guidance have you been given about how bad the flooding and flash flooding could be? Are we expecting homes to be swept away off riverbanks like we saw in years previous recent flooding events, and as that pertains to your search and rescue crews ready to mobilize? What would you say to those people who are in their homes and being advised to evacuate?
Sure. The best information we have are predictions about the rainfall that will come on top of the rainfall that's already occurred. And that is that in various key regions, ranging from Corpus Christi to the Houston area, perhaps as much as between 20 and 30 more inches of rain could be coming down. That is coming down on already saturated ground and already filled up waterways, whether they be creeks, bayous, or rivers. And so there is the potential for very dramatic flooding. It's essential for people who are near those flood zones to do several things. One is to obviously be aware of your surroundings. Two is to listen to warnings given out by local officials and heed those warnings. And three, whenever you do venture out by car or any other way, be very cautious, knowing that not only is it rising water, but oftentimes it will be swift moving water that can carry you away. For everybody in the state of Texas, your top responsibility is to protect your life. So whenever you're near water, be sure that you're doing everything to stay safe.
Sir, any confirmed fatalities in the storm? We got reports of 8 dead in the rock area.
You know, we don't have any information right now that we can confirm any fatalities. That's information that we will be working with local officials, seeking confirmation that we can report later.
Do you expect to report that later?
Well, whenever we receive confirmation of fatalities and confirmation that it was a result of the storm as opposed to some other cause, we will confirm it. But we cannot confirm it at this time.
Have you received any unconfirmed reports that you're looking into?
No.
Do you know about how many rescues have been performed?
So what's happening right now is our first responders are absolutely putting their lives on the line to get out there and do search and rescue for any of those that are still in need. And I think what you're going to see over these next few hours and probably into days is that as the wind conditions and the weather conditions allow, they are going to get out there and do as many rescues as they possibly can. The message to those that may need help or rescue is make sure that you put that signal out there that you are still there and you still need help. If you still have electricity or phone service at all and battery, send those messages out, make sure that we can see them. But I need you to keep our first responders in your thoughts and prayers because they are absolutely risking their lives to get out there in these dangerous conditions to look for those that are in need.
Governor, can you share with us some of the human contact you had talking with the evacuees, and this is something you're going to continue to do as this scenario plays itself out?
Right. It was so heartening to shake the hands of these evacuees as they got off of these buses. And I walked around the school that they were being housed in and got to visit with them. And they are what I call typical Texans. They were resilient, they were strong spirited, they were happy, they were just happy to be there and be alive. But obviously they were in need. There was a part of them that were facing a sense of the shock that comes with displacement. And there was a growing need for supplies. They are receiving 3 meals a day, but they're just so warm-hearted, so full of spirit, and so pleased to be alive.
Guys, we have time for 2 more.
Do you have an estimate of how much it's going to cost the state with damages?
Is way too early to make any estimates about that. What I can say is that we are so pleased that the federal government and the White House have stepped up in the strong way they have by granting our disaster declaration that will enable Texas and Texans to be able to better deal with the financial consequences of the storm.
We've heard some reports in the field of undocumented immigrants being turned away at shelters. Can you speak to that or to the directions you've given shelters regarding IDs?
Yeah, I have no information about that.
Sir, you suggested earlier in the week that there were people not heeding the evacuation calls, maybe more than expected. Is that still the case?
Well, I'll correct that. I didn't suggest that they were not heeding it. What I was suggesting is that if a local official has warned people to evacuate, it is very important that citizens heed those warnings by their local officials. Great. Thank you.
So everybody, if we want to shoot some B-roll here in a second, reach out there. B-roll. Yeah. And also one quick thing.
It's dark. We've got
going to have some ongoing flooding tomorrow morning. Rain will continue for our area. At 7 a.m. on Sunday. It's still rain at times with wind gusts approaching 40, 45 miles an hour. Here's a look at tomorrow, 24 hours now. Notice the radar looks pretty. It's still raining in east as the rain continue to add on up. Monday, rough couple of days. So this has not changed. 30 inches, 40-inch rainfall totals. You go a lot less. It's amazing the maybe as high as 20 inches, and who only gets inches. Harper, Mason, maybe 2 inches out of this, a little bit to 5 inches out along the 281 corridor. Northwestern Travis, Williamson County, the farther south east you go from downtown, that's problems here in the metro. And again, now, Monday, and then lingering Tuesday, Thursday of next week. This is where we believe will fall. Have 10 inches of rainfall area, northern areas of and it's possible that we could see amounts of 30 inches. Out of the question, maybe even more than that. Yes, flash flooding, water crossings, very concerned about that tonight, tomorrow night, and Monday. But I live 35. Creek and river flooding is likely. I have 3, but I want to tell you, if you live a river flooding is likely. So Smithfield, Bastrop, LaGrange, Colorado River, if you're in a low spot, you probably need to make the plans to get out soon, because you get some torrential tonight, and there will likely be some type of evacuations going on. Especially viewing area. This is a 48-hour rainfall projection, and 2 days, 20 inches will be possible, and then maybe even more. Latest forecast, this as far as the section. So this is where that and again, north of the eye, this is where you have a lot of moisture. You get this moisture Gulf that wraps around counterclockwise rotation. So a little bit of drier air down here, McMullen and Live Oak County, but for us, we've got that moisture feed right in. Tonight, tomorrow, it travels just off towards the east of the city, maybe just will move morning. Again, all that Tuesday to Thursday. We still have this system potentially just south or east of the day, and it continues to rain. So again, serious situation. It's starting now. Monday forecast for you. Rainfall building in now. For flooding, especially in east of both 37 down in South Texas. River flooding into Tuesday. Issues in the wind, because if that system south or east of us, it's going to keep in eastern counties, and maybe we start to see towards part of the week. The forecast has changed a little bit compared to what we saw 24. We're thinking, okay, maybe Tuesday would kick out back in the Gulf of Mexico, and then it's Houston. That may not be the case. Models are trending on this thing falling south or east of Austin between now and Thursday next week. And I'm not, Mike, you've worked for a bit now, and you for 8 years. But this is, yeah. And if you have a friend or family member, we all have one. You need to take this seriously. I had a conversation for me. Many of you know him. He was here. Like, Mark, give me some perspective. Give me some historical context. Isolated amounts, 10, 20 inches. It's happened. It's in the history. Isolated. But we're talking about the potential for wide to 20 inches, if not isolated 30 inches. So, perspective. You know, Mark, and for him to say something like that, take it seriously and just be smart and be. And if you are in a high area that doesn't, flood, you're going to be fine. You don't stock up on your store and have to cross maybe a flooded roadway. You just got to be smart the next 2 days. And again, not here to scare you, but to tell you the potential is there. And woke up this morning and saw that moisture feeding off the Gulf of Mexico, and then we started real-time reports of 10 fall. Proof's in the pudding. Happening in the beginning. This is just.
I know you well enough to know that you're not a hype. This is not hype. This is a serious scenario. And as you showed on that map, taking its time, doesn't want to leave. Around is taking all that rain with it, and yeah, devastating flooding, according to the governor. Dramatic
in history. It's data late 1800s to see anything. Allison was bad in the Houston area, but it around this long. So there you see circulation in Boston. It's tropical now, and in a weekend, of course, but still a depression is going to produce later tonight. 40 to 50 hour winds gust up to. So the wind threat's going down. That's good. It's still be breezy to gusty several days. My main concern not the wind, it's going to be the rain, especially if you country at this point. We got to keep an eye on it. Any kind of a wobble. There's no steering currents in the atmosphere, right? There's no definite forecast model that's saying it's going to go here, it's going to go there. 3 days ago that we thought this was a tropical storm, if not a minor hurricane. It went inland at as a Category 4. Change. A little wobble to the west means more rain for the hill country, more rain for the metro. A little wobble to the east. Maybe bring down those totals a bit, but I think any way you slice it, we've got a high flood danger, both and also danger from Austin, and it may linger.
And that's the last thing we downgraded from a to a tropical storm, and then think, oh, okay, this is right. I when I came in, really, you cannot let your go down, because as much as it is flooding.
Can we talk? Best case scenario is doesn't stall out. Maybe the models are wrong. Continues to wobble more. It's going to be a bigger problem, of course, for the Houston area. So you got to keep that in mind. If that were to happen, our best case scenario is if it continues to move maybe to the east, northeast. And then we start to get some backside of it. We don't say that. We don't see that in the data, I should say, at the moment. I don't see a whole lot of positivity in the models that say, oh, this is going to fizzle out. This is a tropical storm, a big rainmaker. It's probably a depression maybe tonight, sometime tomorrow. Depression still a rainmaker. And the wind threat will be with us with this afternoon. And we're going to transition into that flood, river, and creek.
It's a bad situation for sure, and updates as needed throughout the day. We're here, but also we want to let you know that you have several resources with K in order to get the very latest on our social media platforms. Snapchat, I think we've got a from Snapchat that we want to show of some damage here in North. Research and a tree down there, and another one heavily strong winds that we've had. Unfortunately, more damage, flooding type damage to come. Share safely, please. Of course, safely. Do that if you're able. Our hashtag is KViewHarvey. Once again, we will be back here with as we will to the Little League or World Little League baseball.
Four good pitchers in Mexico, and they had the and that wants to pitch. They were lined up. On a pitch, and Coach probably was thinking,